It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
Chris asked this next question, Brian. I live in California, and I'm afraid the housing market will continue to outpass my ability to save. Is it all right to pull back on 401k contributions and put that towards a down payment? So this is a sort of a specialized question for Chris. This is really the question I think he's asking. On our wealth building journey, Brian, is it ever okay to have to make life decisions associated with it? And perhaps, do you have any experience shares in your history where you had to maybe postpone savings or put off savings or figure out something because life events took place?
This is why, and Chris, I'm sure you've got our free deliverable. We have the financial order of operations. That's moneyguy.com/resources. But we do talk about this in the deeper dive in the actual course of learn.moneyguy.com, where I go over the ground rules of the financial order of operations. And I don't mind giving some of the experience shares, but it is one of those things where I want you to know the first 3 steps of the financial order of operations are they're locked in. I mean, it's one of those things where we need you to have enough cash to where you keep your financial life out of the ditch. You don't want to be desperate and have to make really bad decisions through credit card use or going and borrowing money from the wrong places that get you in trouble. The employer match money is so powerful, especially if it's 50 to 100% dollar for dollar match. That's like the equivalent of a 50% or 100% guaranteed rate of return. You cannot ignore that. And then that leads to number 3, which is high interest debt. Think about your credit cards. These are credit cards that will probably have interest rates built onto them of 16% or greater. Guys, that's a rate of return that you're just hoping you get at some point. So to actually pay that per year is going to destroy your financial life. You're turning compounding interest upside down. So you can't really change the first 3 steps of the financial order of operations. However, when you get down to around step 4, I want you to understand, I know life happens with the fact that you're trying to get your first house and you feel like the market's moving away. And I actually just had this discussion with one of our advisors here who relocated to take this job. And I was like, look, your income's going up. The market's running from you right now. Y'all really ought to take advantage of that extra grace we give on house purchases where you can put down 3 to 5% on a house. Not the 20% that you hear all the financial pundits talk about, but you can put down 3 to 5% that allows you to get in with as little, because realize you're not making a housing purchase unless you can promise yourself you're going to be in that house at least 7 years. Because your biggest fear is, as soon as you buy this house, interest rates go up, and potentially, I don't know if all parts, but there are going to be certain parts of the country that probably if interest rates go up, they will be more susceptible to losing some value. Now, if you live in a super hot market, maybe that risk is 10%, but if you live in Atlanta, from 2008 all the way to 2011, I watched my house go from $550,000 down to $225,000 at the worst of it. It can happen if you're in one of those susceptible markets, South Atlanta, where we were crushed. It was bad. So that's why we give you the grace and really step 4 of you can, while you're building up on those, do the 3 to 5% as part of the emergency reserves and the savings and your housing expenses. So then you can get into steps 5, 6, and on. And I want you to understand, when you do this, you need to be fearful. You need to be scared so that you constantly feel like there's a timer in the background of opportunity cost of your money not working for you. And Bo alluded to this. When I started my first company in 2002, now, the buildup from the age of my dad passed away in December of 2000. I kind of had my aha moment that I had to change my life and I wanted to start my own company. So I did time on my own terms. So I wasn't just taking one day off when my dad passed away, which is still a big regret that I have. So I had that moment where I was like, okay, I need to save for a year and a half, so my wife and I have this bridge money to start a company. And then, yes, I didn't, in those 3 years after starting the company in 2002, I didn't get to do all the things that we have to, I didn't get to max out the retirement plans and stuff because life happens, and I get that, and that's why we try to give you the flexibility take advantage of the 3 to 5% down payment, because that will allow you to get back on track, feel like and respect that time is ticking in the background. Opportunity cost is out there. You need to not use this as a privilege that you take for granted and you just let it drag on for years. You need to stay on focus, stay on point, and get back to the financial order of operations as fast as possible.
I love that, and I agree with everything that you said.